Have you ever wondered why, despite being an honest, kind, and sincere person, you still face defeat? You speak the truth, show your intentions, and enter the world with an open heart, expecting others to do the same. But there comes a moment when someone less honest gets ahead. The one who is more cunning is rewarded, and you find yourself questioning what you did wrong. Let me share a difficult truth with you. The world does not reward sincerity. It rewards perception, and perception is a carefully crafted mask, a chosen expression in the theater of human interaction. It is not about being fake, but about being aware. Because while you speak from the heart, others speak from calculation. While you share your pain to connect, they gather that pain to control. And while you wait to be valued for your inner world, they create their image of how they look, how they sound, how they are perceived by others. Machiavelli once said that there is no need to possess all the virtues. It is enough to appear to have them. At first, this sounds cold, even manipulative. But think about it. Aren't we already acting this way? When you smile at work despite being tired, when you say everything is fine while feeling broken inside, when you hide your fears to protect another, those are masks too. But here is the truth. Not all masks are lies. Some of them are shields, some are mirrors, and some are survival tools. A lion does not wear a mask. It shows its fangs, demonstrates its strength. But a fox survives by wearing many masks, and in a world that often punishes sincerity, it is not the strongest who survive, but the most emotionally intelligent. So the question is not whether to wear a mask, but which mask suits you best and when. Because you cannot control how the world sees you, but you can control what it is allowed to see. This is where the journey of awareness begins, not just with truth, but with awareness that makes you think before you speak, that chooses silence over excessive candor, that understands that a wisely chosen mask is not betrayal, but protection, and the one who knows when to wear it can navigate situations. You are taught from childhood that honesty is a virtue, that truth is pure, noble, and always the right path. But what they do not tell you is that truth in the hands of others can become a weapon, and honesty without discernment can lead to your downfall. Have you ever opened up to someone only to feel vulnerable afterward? Shared too much too quickly, thinking that vulnerability would create a connection, but instead gave them an advantage. This is a harsh lesson that is not learned from textbooks or inspirational quotes, but comes through pain, because not everyone around you values your honesty. Some only value what they can extract from it. This is where emotional self-discovery begins, not by pouring out all your truths. With an understanding of the price of truth, the cost of excessive words, the price of too rapid trust, and the cost of too deep a revelation. You see, honesty without boundaries is not a strength, it is a surrender. People often confuse openness with carelessness, but true sincerity is never reckless. It is deliberate. It is the understanding of when it is appropriate to speak your truth and when it is better to remain silent to protect it. It is no coincidence that many of the wisest people in history were not quick to speak. They did not hide. They contemplated their words, not out of malice but with caution, because they understood that every truth has its time and place, and not every moment is worthy of being heard. Let me ask you a question. How many of your wounds have you inflicted upon yourself out of a desire to be understood? This yearning to explain oneself, to be noticed, to be real is beautiful, but it makes you vulnerable, especially in a world where others play by their own rules. They do not care about your truth. They only think of their own gain. So you have a choice: to continue giving your truth to those who do not value it, or to protect it, to shape it, and to release it like confidence, only when it is truly necessary. After all, truth is not just words. It is a tool. And those who have learned to wield it do not express everything they feel, do not explain all their thoughts. And in this noisy world, they gain a rare strength. Through composure, influence, and mystery, they navigate the world through self-control. The next time you feel the urge to reveal your truth in order to feel closeness, pause and ask yourself, is this honesty or a cry to be noticed? Is this courage or a habit of self-sacrifice? Because truth is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to yours. We cling to who we believe we are. Titles, roles, labels. I am honest, I am loyal, I am not like them. This seems noble, stable, like a declaration of your identity in a chaotic world. But when identity becomes rigid, it turns into a cage. And in this, we suffer the most, because the world does not stand still. It moves, people change, power shifts hands, and those who cannot bend will break. Niccolò Machiavelli did not admire the most righteous. He admired the most adaptable, because life rewards not the pure, but the prepared. We fear adaptation because we confuse it with betrayal. If we change our opinion, we are inconsistent. If we change our behavior, we are false. But let me ask you, is a tree false because it sways in the wind? Is a river weak because it flows around a stone rather than through it? Or are they simply wise enough to survive? You are allowed to evolve. In fact, it is necessary, because the person you were in one season may not survive in the next. The tools that once protected you may now hold you back. The truths you clung to yesterday may no longer serve you today. Adaptation is not a rejection of principles. It is an update of strategy. This knowledge is about knowing when to turn aside, when to retreat, when to steer with a tire instead of fire, when to walk away from a fight you would have once engaged in. Adaptation is emotional intelligence in action. It is the inner voice that tells you, this no longer fits, this no longer serves, I will no longer betray myself. But to adapt, you must let go of the need to be consistent, because consistency is often praised by those who fear growth. And what is the point of remaining the same if it costs you your world, your place in a world that constantly rewrites its rules? You do not need to change who you are at your core, but you must learn to move. A lion roars in the open plains, but a forest survives in shifting shadows. Who will you be? Because survival is not one mask, one tone. Rather, it is knowing when to adjust, when to let go, when to become something new. Adaptation is not weakness, it is wisdom in motion, and those who master it do not just survive, they thrive with dignity, power, and grace. You may believe that truth speaks for itself, that if your heart is pure, your intentions are clear, and your work is honest, others will see you as you are. But they do not see. They see the story, the surface, the signal you emit. And in a world built on impressions, perception becomes reality. This is unsettling, unfair. To know that someone may misinterpret you and never question their judgment, that your silence may be perceived as weakness, your kindness as a lack of strength, that being right is not enough if you do not appear the part. Here lies the power, not in who you are, but in what you project. We are beings who tell stories. We judge by symbols. We trust confidence more than competence, presence more than content. And we often follow those who seem knowledgeable rather than those who truly know. Think about how many times you have held back in a room, knowing the truth, yet remaining silent. Watching someone louder, less informed steal the influence that should have been yours. This is not only unfair, it is psychological. It is human. We do not see people clearly. We see them through prisms, and these prisms are shaped by body language, tone, appearance, timing, and presence. So the lesson is simply not to leave perception to chance. Shape it. Own it. Not for manipulation, not for ego, but because you deserve to be seen with the same clarity that you carry within. You may be wise, But if you speak with hesitation, you will be ignored. You may be right, but if you carry doubt in your posture, you will be dismissed. You may be kind, but if you appear apologetic, you will not be valued. This does not mean becoming someone else. It means aligning your presentation with your intention. You already possess power, but it is not visible if it is not expressed with confidence. So ask yourself, what story are you telling simply by standing in a room? What energy enters before your words appear? Because perception is not deception, it is design. And when you learn to design how you are seen, you not only influence others, you reshape your own reality, becoming the version of yourself that the world was always meant to meet. Within you live two instincts. One roars, the other observes. One a lion, bold, direct, assertive. The other a fox, quiet, watchful, clever. Machiavelli did not ask you to choose between them. He urged you to become both, because one power only intimidates, but cunning survives. Power without strategy is noise, and strategy without power is ignored. We live in a world that punishes naivety, where straightforwardness without tact is crushed, where cunning without courage never resolves to act. So if you have ever felt that you are either too straightforward or too cautious, know this. You were never meant to be just one or the other. You were meant to be both. The lion in you is the voice that speaks. Enough. I will not be trampled. I know my worth. It stands tall, it fights, it speaks with confidence, but it can be predictable, easy to detect, easy to target. This is where the fox comes in. The fox is your ability to read the room without saying a word, to notice changes in tone, in glances, in shifts. It is your instinct to wait, to plan, to know that retreat is sometimes the smartest form of strength. But most of us neglect one side. We either live roaring, exhausting ourselves with power, or hiding, rethinking every step until the world overtakes us. Balance is where mastery lies. You need the fire of the lion to set boundaries, but you need the silence of the fox to notice the games before they begin. So ask yourself now, when was the last time you were too loud, when silence could have won, or too silent, when strength demanded your voice? These are not just questions of behavior. They are questions of identity, because who you become is defined not by what you feel, but by what you choose to wield. You may feel anger, but use it with discipline. You may feel fear, but mask it with a veneer of confidence. You may be underestimated, and still you can prevail. The world may not expect that both predatory instincts live within you, but they do. You just need to awaken them. And when you do, when you know when to roar and when to wait in the shadows, you will stop chasing power. You will become it. We do not like to talk about fear. It makes us uncomfortable. We would prefer to be loved, admired, accepted. But here's a truth that few will say aloud. Fear delivers results that love alone cannot provide. This does not mean cruelty. It does not mean manipulation. It means boundaries, respect, quiet authority that says, I am not someone to be trifled with. You see, love invites closeness, but fear creates distance. And in that distance, order is born. Machiavelli knew that a ruler who is loved, but not feared, can lose everything as soon as attachment fades. And in our lives, this holds the same power. Because kindness without sharpness often becomes an invitation to disrespect. Remember moments when you allowed someone to cross a line because you did not want to seem harsh. Recall when you continued to forgive what should have been condemned, all for the sake of peace, but ultimately ended up with chaos. Controlled fear is non-dominance. It is about presence, not in your voice, not in the mobility of your demeanor, but in the gaze that says, you may not know my boundaries, but you will feel them. This is strength, not noise, not violence, just confidence. The kind that makes others think before crossing a line. The kind that creates space for your world to exist undisturbed. And here is the secret. People trust those who cannot be pushed around. They feel safer with someone who has fire, even if it is hidden behind calm eyes. So if you were taught to be soft, forgiving, always available, understand this. You can be warm and at the same time unattainable. You can love deeply and still be dangerous to disrespect. Because when fear is used without cruelty, it becomes clarity, and clarity protects more than love ever could. Reputation is formed not by what you say, but by when you say it, and what you leave unsaid. We live in an age obsessed with expression. Say everything, share everything, prove everything. But strength does not live in noise, it lives in the pause. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are those who wait, who speak when the room is quiet enough to listen, who understand that time is a weapon and silence is a shield. Machiavelli warned that your image must be carefully managed, not falsely managed because the world does not see your inner truth. It sees the pattern you present. And here is the pattern that deserves respect. Measured words, strategic timing, intentional silence. You see, your reputation is formed in the shadows long before it is seen in the light of day. People remember how you made them feel, but also how you handled pressure, conflict, success, and loss. Were you reactive or restrained? There is discipline in holding your tongue, not out of fear, but out of control. It is easy to defend yourself, to correct every misunderstanding. But every time you do, you give away power. You reveal more than necessary. You speak before they have earned your truth. Think of the people you respect the most. They do not strive to be understood. They allow misunderstanding to hang in the air, because they know that truth is most powerful when it is delivered with patience. In your silence, people begin to ponder. In your stillness, they wait. And in this waiting, you transcend presence. The world rewards those who can sit with tension, who do not need explanations every minute, who speak so rarely that their words resonate longer. Let your silence create mystery. Let your time create impact. Let your restraint become your reputation. And when you finally say something genuine, it will cut through the noise like lightning in a storm. Because silence is not the absence of power. It is power waiting for its moment. Not everyone needs to know your true essence. And this is not bitterness. It is wisdom. In a world where masks are often necessary for survival, you still need a space where the mask can fall, where your voice does not have to be calculated, where your protection can be without consequences, where your truth is not a risk, but welcomed. This space is your inner circle, not your followers, not your acquaintances, but those few who truly see you. But here is what no one tells you. This circle gets smaller as you grow stronger, not because you push people away, but because the few can withstand your honesty without flinching. Power isolates, growth filters, and the more you possess yourself, the more you notice who clings to your weakness and who respects your strength. Ask yourself now, who knows your fears, not to use them, but to soothe, who hears your silences and understands that it is not rejection, but reflection, who can bear all of your essence without needing to diminish it. If you can name at least one such person, you are richer than most, because as you navigate a world full of performances, the rarest intimacy is found in presence, where nothing needs to be said, where trust is not explained, but felt. Protect this circle. Do not expand it out of guilt. Do not dilute it out of loneliness. Quality over quantity has never mattered more than in the realm of trust. You can play many roles in life: a leader, a fighter, a strategist, a survivor. But here in this space, you can simply be, and sometimes that is all we need. Not more power, just space, sufficiently safe to lay it down. There comes a moment of silence when you face a choice, to act as it is right, or as it yields results. This is the dilemma that haunts everyone. who walks the fine line between power and conscience. The Machiavellian mind does not flinch. It says the end justifies the means. But you hesitate, you feel the weight of this price, because behind every shortcut lies a sacrifice. Behind every manipulated victory, a crack, sometimes in others, sometimes in yourself. So what is more important, to be effective or ethical? There is no simple answer to this question. It is the discomfort that most avoid. They want life to be clear, right or wrong, light or dark, but real life, true life, is gray. Sometimes doing the right things leads you astray. Sometimes bending the rules is what protects the people you love. Sometimes silence causes more pain than lies. Sometimes a hard-earned victory never comes. So what should you do? You look within, you sit with the tension. You ask not only what works, but what you can live with. Because power gained without peace becomes a prison, while peace held without power becomes the goal. True mastery lies in balance, doing what works without losing yourself, playing the game without becoming the game. Machiavelli may not have cared about morality, but you are not just a strategist. You are a soul in motion. So take this truth with you. The outcome matters, but the method matters too, because at night, when the world is quiet and the masks are off, you will sit alone with your choices. And if you can sit there in silence and feel at peace, you have already won. So what is better, to be loved or to be feared? Perhaps the true answer is neither. Perhaps the goal is not to pursue attachment or control, but to seek clarity, because when you clearly understand who you are, what you value, and what you are willing to allow, the world responds differently. You no longer need explanations. You simply do not need them anymore.